Thank you. Mike, you have a minute for rebuttal, and I want you specifically to address the question, should there be a defined time frame for this designation? You've got a full minute. You can answer anything else you want, but I would like an answer to should there be a defined time frame?
Absolutely, there should be a defined time limit, a time frame for getting out of the distressed city status. I mean, it's imperative to the constituents. It's not fair to them not knowing what's happening down the road for economic recovery. We need to know what is going on. But we got to remember, when Kevin was on city council and president, he cast that deciding vote to put the city in distressed status. So he's the one that put us there into this into the problem that we are in now. Act 47 is in the works, putting the unions back at the table to negotiate, which I like. But we just have to go to remember that Kevin did put us, that did cast that deciding vote.
Kevin, I know that, normally we wouldn't give you another chance for rebuttal on this one, but I want to ask you the same question. I'm going to give you 1 minute to rebut, and I want an answer. Should there be a defined time frame for this designation?
Yes, Andrea, there absolutely should be. And before I go on to answer that question, and perhaps it's because my opponent didn't live in Pennsylvania at the time. He's new to the area, so he may not be familiar with what exactly happened during this period of time. With the distressed city designation, that came almost 2 decades prior to me taking the oath of office as a councilman in the city of Scranton. We had a failed recovery plan that was never really implemented and didn't really work prior to me being elected to city council and prior to me becoming the president of Scranton City Council. But that wasn't working. And because Governor Ridge had these sanctions on the city, and we didn't have access to our liquid fuels money. Buses couldn't get over bridges, take kids to school. We had people that were living in dangerous situations because although they lived very close to a fire hall or a firehouse, the fire truck couldn't go over those bridges. So we have to have a time frame put in place to make sure that there is an ample period of time to exit Act 47.
Thank you. We're going to move on now, but I want to stay with the topic of issues of fiscal problems. And this time I want to address a question pertaining to pension funds. Benefits, underfunding from the state, and worse than expected investment returns have pushed the state's 2 large public pension funds into multi-billion-dollar holes. The impact is expected to come due in 2013 to 2014, when estimates show the tax-funded employer contributions to these 2 funds ballooning from $776 million this year to $3.15 billion in 2 years. So that's the intro for that. The question to you, and Kevin, you'll respond first. As a candidate, do you agree with this assessment, and what is your position and or solution for this issue?
Well, I do agree that that is a fair assessment, and I think what we've already done in the House in adopting legislation with regard to pension reform and sending it over to the Senate was extremely responsible, because our version is going to save almost $3 billion over the next 30 years. That's a significant amount of savings. And we have to keep in mind when we discuss the defined contribution plan, defined benefit plan, promises were made, contracts were entered into, and they have to be kept. Moving forward, the newer hires, the new employees, they won't have the same plan that the existing employees have. And depending on the market and whether or not it fluctuates up and down, their contributions are also going to be adjusted accordingly to make sure that the taxpayer isn't left holding the bag. But one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that during this period of time over the past 10 years, and it started under Governor Ridge, the state deferred their payments for these pension plans. The local school districts deferred their payments to these pension plans because these were very prosperous times during the early 2000s. But there comes a time when you have to pay the bill. We have to figure out a solution to fix this problem as we move forward. I believe we've done that. As I said, our plan is going to save $3 billion over the next 30 years. But what we have to do is keep promises that were made. I think you could draw a direct correlation between the defined benefit plan, defined contribution plan, and look at Social Security. And where would we have been? And we're already going through the worst recession since the Great Depression. And had we invested all those seniors' dollars in Social Security into the stock market, where would we be today? I think we would be experiencing economic problems that have never been seen here before in the United States. So I think we have started off on a prudent course.
Thank you. Mike, the same question to you.
Our legislators have underfunded this pension problem for 10 years now. The pension obligation, like you mentioned earlier, the earlier estimates that I had were $4.2 billion for the teachers and $1.9 billion for the state workers. The crisis has been known for at least the last 4 years, and our legislators have done nothing about it until this year. Now they're going to act upon it, and now they want to prolong it. Mr. Murphy and his legislators think the only solution is to raise taxes, and that was brought forth earlier this year, that they want to assess an average of $385 per property owner. And that's per year to get us out of this pension crisis. That's not fair to the property owner. And this is detrimental to the seniors and everyone that owns a piece of property. Politicians get hundreds of thousands of dollars in pensions, and that is definitely unfair to all of us as taxpayers. Harrisburg has no solutions except to raise taxes or to transfer the obligation 2 years down the road, and that's going to affect our children and our grandchildren, and I don't think that's right at all. My solution to it is starting to put the pension system into a defined contribution. My opponent disagrees with that, but the problem needs to start now. By postponing the obligations for 30 years, you're making that debt even larger. We have to stop the abuses that are in Harrisburg, and the Harrisburg crowd is perpetuating. We need to change the system to a defined contribution for all new hires. All the teachers and state workers that are in the pension system now should be obligated to that pension system that they were contracted to have. We cannot change that. But all new hires have to be put on a defined contribution, not a defined benefit, because it's not fair to the taxpayers. We have to honor our commitment, like I mentioned before, to those that are in the pension system now. And Harrisburg is a government service, not a self-service.
Thank you. Kevin, would you like to rebut?
Yeah, I don't think I'll use the full minute, but I would like to be respectful of my opponent and his positions and his opinions. But we're not talking about Harrisburg. We're talking about the 113th district, the person that you're looking to represent you for the next 2 years in Harrisburg, and someone who's already made decisions in the brief year and a half since I was elected to try to right the ship. You know, problems are caused, and unfortunately, we have to address them. But one of our responsibilities, and the responsibility of any elected official, isn't to just identify a problem. Everyone here in this audience and everyone watching at home can identify a problem. But being part of the solution and already having voted affirmatively for pension reform, I think speaks for itself. Thank you.